Okay, y'all, this is my go-to girl when I want to find out about the Diddy trial. And I know he ain't asking for no mistrial. I know you ain't.
Had you guys come and sit down and shut the door. I know you guys heard Diddy was asking for a mistrial, and I know you heard. First of all, Brian Steele, Diddy's lawyer, needs to remain himself. Brian mistrial Steele, stop bringing that Fulton County mess into this good Northeast courthouse. You're not getting a mistrial. However, Diddy is begging for a mistrial. Why? Because Miss Westmoreland and all his lawyers had tried to convince us that Bona and Cassie lied about Bona being hung over that balcony. Even though Diddy tried to settle for Bona. For what? Even though Cassie had text messages to KK literally being like, this is why that mofo's crazy. I need to stay away from this. But baby, Diddy's middle name is Audacity. That's how he built his kingdom. That's how he got his minions. And that's how his lawyers are being paid. Diddy's middle name is Audacity. But get this.
Yes,
and we're
it
going to
is.
get into the mistrial and all the lies. And what do they have? They have a receipt from the Trump Hotel showing the check-in. Now, let me just say two things, right? One, I don't trust nothing coming from Diddy. First of all, can somebody check and make sure that receipt is actually real? Because I wouldn't put it past Diddy to go into Adobe Photoshop and be like, whoops, we didn't know. And I wouldn't put it past Mark Agnifilio. Because Diddy's whole team is, whoops, how are we to know? What do you mean?
The whole team is crickets. If they, all the evidence this man got, why y'all just don't tell that man just to do a plea deal? Just tell that man to do a plea deal and just go ahead and go to jail. That's it.
How were we to know? That's the first thing, okay? But the second thing we actually need to talk about is, and thank you, Autumn, for actually bringing this to my attention and dropping the receipts. What receipts does Diddy really have? Their whole crux of the matter is it couldn't have happened because we checked into a hotel on September 24th. You said this happened on September 26th. We checked into a hotel, Trump International, as a matter of fact. And this 100% proves that we were in New York City, and there's no way that could have happened.
But see, they said September 26th and September 24th. That's only 2 days. Why y'all tripping about 2 days? Just 2 days?
They showed room service receipts. They showed the hotel check-in. They showed everything. Except for the fact of, they kept revolving it around the Bad Boy reunion tour. So when Autumn sent me this information, I was a little confused. How could this be? And how are you asking for a mistrial? When? Hear me out. On the 23rd, on 2016, the Bad Boy reunion tour, they were in Philadelphia, PA. I know what you're saying. Okay, Tisa, it's Philadelphia, PA. Where are you going with it? That's only 2 hours away from New York. And I believe they stayed at the Trump Hotel in Jersey. If they got one in Jersey, if not, it was probably the one in Lower Manhattan. Okay, so this is the thing, and this is on all the tour dates. Where were they at on the 24th? I want to know where were they at on the 24th. In Boston, they performed in Boston, Massachusetts on the 24th of September. Tell me how Diddy was performing late into the evening in Boston, Massachusetts on the 24th of September when Diddy's team is also saying that they checked into the Trump International Hotel also on the 24th of September. You actually didn't come into the New York area until September 25th. You came in September 25th and you performed in the somewhere in New Jersey, right? I want to say Newark, but who knows? You performed in Newark, right? On the 25th. And then after that, there's no paparazzi photos of you in New York. There's no confirmation you were ever in New York. And there's no confirmation that you were ever at that Trump hotel. So the same way they are asking for a mistrial based off that, let's actually look into this, play the somebody lying game. And it doesn't look like it's the prosecution. First of all, there's...
Oh, yeah, it's somebody lying. That's for sure.
More than enough evidence that mess with Bona happened, and I hope the prosecution has a response to actually show why not the plea offer, but the settlement that Rob Holiday offered to Bona was actually offered. Okay, I hope they find a way to get that into evidence. But again, Tell me how you checked in on September 24th when you were in Boston, Massachusetts till late in the night. Tell me how you traveled to Newark on the 25th to perform later that night. Okay? So who checked in? Who was eating the room service? Who was doing all that stuff that you're now using? It wasn't you. And your court dates prove that. So if you had somebody checking on the 24th under Frank Black and they were eating the food, doing the room service that you weren't there, then who's to say that you were ever there? Maybe Frank Black is just the name that Diddy used to check in the stuff. We now get to, so 24th, you were in Philly.
There you go. She got his call. She is so good at this. Yes, yes, yes. That's all he did was use somebody's name so he can just come up with a line alibi.
25th, you had to go to Boston. 23rd, you were in Philly. This is all on the Bad Boy Reunion Tour things. 23rd, you were in Philly. 24th, you were in Boston, Massachusetts. 25th, you finally came to Newark. You were only in Newark one night. Where were you the rest of those times? And now the prosecution is trying to put in evidence and say you want a mistrial off of that mess. Diddy, please get out of here with this Fulton County nonsense. It's not happening, but it's scary that they have basically a whole blogosphere out here repeating their dumb talking points. I don't see Rico, I don't see this, and I'm not disrespecting anyone. If you honestly, you don't see it, you don't see it, but I want to know how many people are keying with Diddy's PR team. How big the PR team? I want to know how many people are keying and getting their information and the whole thing from people that are trying to tell us what we should say and think, and they're maybe not telling us where they're getting their information from, where they're getting the talking points from. If you are sitting in the court every day and you make up your own mind, that's fine. I'm not going to hold you. But a part of the way you're informing yourself and you're sitting in the courtroom is to talk to the other side. That's like me talking to the prosecution and then trying to give y'all an update. I just want to know how many people's opinions are informed by people that actually have an agenda and an open checkbook. Now, I'm not saying that Diddy's team is making some type of social media hoopla to create.
They about is. I don't put nothing past nobody. I don't put nothing past nobody that's making $1 million to defend someone when you know he got so much stuff on him that you should have told that man to take a plea. I couldn't even. I think I would have to drop off the team because I could not defend someone with this much evidence on them. And you got to be just as dirty. Simple as that.
Create chaos to help with his appeal, to help to look like he's not being treated fairly. But I do think it's odd that a lot of people are overlooking the very basics that the prosecution 100% has Diddy dead to rights. But again, if Diddy wants to talk about this mistrial, if he wants to talk about lies, if he wants to talk about evidence, then I want you, but since they're the ones that are calling the prosecution liars, and they're the ones that introduced this, I want to see proof that you were actually in New York City the 26th, the 27th, the 28th, and the 29th. I want to know. Because one thing I do want to say is, okay, even with Bona and Cassie's testimony and the text messages, the one thing that is consistent is that Diddy showed up at Cassie's door. Cassie was not with Diddy. Cassie was asleep in her bed. Diddy showed up at Cassie's door. Diddy was making a big kerfuffle. Diddy. And the last thing I do want to say is, you guys, can we stop? The fact that we are letting Diddy's team control the narrative, are you really expecting us to believe that we should think someone's lying because they said something that happened on 20 years ago, happened on a Tuesday or a Wednesday or a Thursday? The whole point of the matter is it actually happened.
There you go. And that's the point. So stop sugarcoating it. Stop trying to make something what it ain't. But for 2 days, trying to pass 2 days, 2 days ain't nothing. It's 20 years ago. So that is a long time to remember actually what day something happened. Why y'all making a big deal about 2 days? You was there and you did it. And as simple as that.
and there's proof it happened. That's like you get into a car accident and them saying, well, what color socks were you wearing? I don't effing know. I don't even, maybe I said I was wearing red socks. Maybe I was wearing sandals. It doesn't matter. The point is a tractor trailer came and tried to hit me. It is ridiculous the way we are letting the criminal, the alleged criminal, but the criminal in my heart, take control of the narrative and actually put this. Listen, Diddy and the Bona thing happened. The people in that time frame know it happened. The prosecution actually thinks it happened. So when are we going to stop letting Diddy push the narrative? Because like everything else, I do now think that when the prosecution checks flight records, checks hotel stays, checks check-in to see who actually checked in at the front desk and showed their ID, and actually checks the actual dates of the bad boy reunion thing, I think that this whole mistrial thing is going to fall apart. Listen,
yes, it is
going to be a showdown
right over his head.
In the courtroom Monday. Your girl will be front and center in the showroom, in the courtroom. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'm gonna go live later to talk about this whole mistrial thing, and I'm gonna go live later to talk about the way Jane Doe is going to testify about incredible violence, and we have the details on that. Anyway, you guys, let me know what you think in the comments. I'll talk to y'all later. Oh my God.
That is it. No, that is it. So I'm done. I got to go and get my baby because she always be clowning. But yes, stop. Y'all need to stop and just go tell that man. If I was his lord, I'd just tell him all these evidence on him. I would just tell him to go to jail. Do your time. Go to jail. Do your time. That's it. And stop sugarcoating it.